think about how long it's been since they had a guy with that kind of
right.
And it's a different charisma than what Terry Bradshaw has.
Right, that kind of zest and
But
like everything.
The guy who's just got, and like you said, there's a difference between the public persona and the presence in a public place, if that makes any sense whatsoever. What we see from him, some of the little goofy things, the subway, dangerous TikTok video, and I used a GIF of it today, but, he gets clowned about certain things. But when it's time for Russ to go be Russ and, like, walk through, it's like he does. He's got
He's
an
star.
aura about him.
Right.
And he wants to win. There's nothing there that is malicious. He's just concocting this image that he thinks goes with his desire to be a great quarterback. People think he tries to play the role of a great quarterback, and you can't carve through that shell to the real boy, man, whoever is lurking inside of there.
Right.
That, we don't know who the real Russ is because it's always been this facade, but the facade works. It worked in Seattle, and we'll see if it works in Pittsburgh. But contrast it with, and I didn't want to turn this into Bash Kenny Pickett Day. I don't want it to be Bash.
Well, we're not bashing him. We're just these are the things that are being said about him that we know and that are real.
Well, it's all. I remember all the stories when young Ben was in Pittsburgh and how aloof and standoffish he was, and the teammates weren't really all that enamored with the way he conducted himself.
Right.
And then you had the off-field stuff. Now, he did a great job of rewriting the narrative in the years that he spent in Pittsburgh after his 4-game suspension to start the 2010 season. Great job turning it around. Great job making people forget a lot of the bad stuff. But what a contrast in personalities. I mean, because even now, you've still got some of that Roethlisberger look at me. You've got some of that Roethlisberger vibe. The inclination to exaggerate and embellish and overstate and make it all about him. I mean, Russ makes it all about him in a different way. But again, and I'm not saying, look, that's what the star athletes do. I'm not indicting the process. All I'm saying is this is just another reason why, from Tomlin's perspective, it's got to be a breath of fresh air. It's a good problem to have. When you have this guy who wants to be great, who wants to do the right things, who wants to say the right things, who's coached himself up into this persona where he's always positive.
Right.
He's always glass half full. He's always go Hawks. Let's ride. Here we go.
Right.
Let's forge. Whatever it's going to be in Pittsburgh. That, for Tomlin, yes, sign me up for that any day of my life. Because I've been dealing with these buttholes that I have to try to get to, and I mean that in kind of a jovial way, that I've been trying to have to get from Roethlisberger to Antonio Brown to this guy and that guy. Like, this is great. I'll take this. Yes, let's ride. Yes, go Hawks. Yes, here we go.
Yeah.
Here we go indeed. So, Tomlin's got to be loving this.
Yeah, you're right.
And remember, we talked about it, that whole Eastern Virginia connection, that whole Eastern Virginian thing. He's always got. That's why Mike Vick was there. I mean, Mike Tomlin pulled off Mike Vick in Pittsburgh as a backup, and Russ got that. There's always that natural connection, and my guess is Tomlin took that as the starting point to say what he needed to say, and it worked.
Yeah,
and it worked.
Yeah,
and we'll see how it works on the field.
You're right.
But
we're gonna see.
It's kind of like we talked. Last point, and then I'll shut up. We talked last week about the 2017 draft, I think it was. And T.J. Watt goes number 30 to Pittsburgh, and the feeling when that happened was like, did nobody realize what this guy might be? Apparently, the Steelers did. And I kind of feel that same thing here. Like, if Russ goes anywhere else, it's not that same, hey, you know what? They kind of know. They kind of know what's what. For them to deviate from the way they do business so sharply to go get this guy for $1.21 million, It's kind of like, they kind of know. They kind of know what they're going to get here, and they kind of know how it could go.
Well, I think it's one where they meet the person, and then they think about the style of football they play, and they go, wait, he's going to fit with how we want to do things here. Let alone, I think they're thirsty for leadership, energy at the quarterback position. I think that's what we're kind of saying there, right? You know, he might be corny, he might be cheesy. It doesn't matter. What he is going to be is ultra professional and try to lead the football team to a capacity that they haven't had there in a few years. And that's going to rub off on their football team. They're going to like that. You're going to know who the commander is there as far as Russell Wilson at quarterback. And then, yeah, to your point there, I think there's a little something, too, again, with the style of play. I don't think Mike Tomlin's not looking necessarily for a Peyton Manning, Tom Brady in the prime of their offense type of, like, quarterback right now. I think the way he looks at his team, he wants to play smash mouth football. Let's run the ball. Let's control the clock, right? Some high percentage passes. And when we get teams to creep up, hey, we got a guy back here that can launch the ball deep to George Pickens or Deontay Johnson, and you better watch out. I think that's – and then, hey, we'll get back to the defense. Hey, TJ, now you make a play. Minka, make a play. And I would expect them to improve their defense in free agency in the draft here too. So that's where I think it really fits. And I think Arthur Smith, too, him being the new offensive coordinator, has his style of play there that I really think fits Russell Wilson, too. It's more along the lines, again, of old school Russell Wilson in Seattle. It's going to be, yeah, we're going to run the ball. It's going to be a bootleg. It's going to be play action pass, and we're going to work here. And then when we feel like the timing is right, hey, Russell, you throw a pretty deep ball like you talked about, Mike. You throw it high and far, just launch it because we feel like we know what they're doing now. And I got a few plays every week that I draw up in the dirt and go, at the right time, I'm going to call this. And that's what he did for Ryan Tannehill when they were, of course, a number 1 seed or in the AFC Championship game. And I think that's why it really fits Pittsburgh. The big question now is, what does he actually say? I mean, we had Go Hawks and we had Let's Ride and all that. What fits in Steeler Town? What fits in Pittsburgh? What do you think he's going to say, Mike?
I think here we go is the low-hanging fruit. That's the most obvious. Although Let's Forge, I think, would be be a daring choice by him.
Let's Forge.
But here we go. Here we go. I think is probably the default. And here we go. Indeed, consider this.
Yeah.
Magic number for right now: $250.4 million. You know what $250.4 million is? That's the amount of cap space the Steelers are going to have at all positions other than quarterback for their team this year.
Yeah, that's pretty amazing.
250.4 for all of your other positions except quarterback at a time when you've got Josh Allen, cap hit going to $47 million. You've got, if Kirk Cousins leaves the Vikings, $28 million in dead cap that hits this year from his contract because of kicking the can in past years. You've got $5 million devoted to the quarterback position this year for the Pittsburgh Steelers, which allows them to more easily manage. And they're one of the few teams that is kind of low-key always bumping up against the cap.
Yeah, right.
And always having to just do a little here and do a little there and do a little here because they want to win. That's the thing. They're the one team, and maybe this gets back to why they did what they did. They're the one team that when they say we want to win the Super Bowl every single year, they mean it. They don't make decisions now for next year. They make decisions now for now because they want to win it now.
Yeah.
So they're screwing around with the cap every year. They're never going to say, well, you know what, let's just go ahead and take that big dead money charge now because we're going to stink this year. They always believe they have a chance. With Mike Tomlin, they have a chance. The roster has been not spectacular in recent years, and he's taken it, and he's turned it into a competitor every year. So they keep doing what they have to do to try to win now. So that's another reason why it made sense for them to change their ways. And maybe this will be, a new era for the Steelers where they recognize there are times where you have to deviate from the way you do things. But again, to have it fall out of the sky like this at $1.2 million, you're not going to go chase a stranger to the organization and pay him market value and make your cap situation worse for a guy who became a free agent for a reason. Oh, we're going to pay this guy huge money? Well, why didn't his last team pay him huge money? He's been there 5 years. Why aren't they paying him? Why are we paying him? What's wrong with this picture? That's why they don't do that. I say that every year this day. the start of the legal tampering period. And yes, I call it the legal tampering period in part because it irritates when people say it's not a legal tampering period, it's a legal negotiation period. It's legal tampering because the illegal tampering already is happening. That's why I call it legal tampering, because the illegal stuff has happened for weeks. But on this day, my point is always this. The guys who are becoming available today are available for a reason. And one of the reasons is the team that's had them under contract has decided too rich for our blood. So that's why I think the Steelers typically don't make these big splashes. It's usually a guy from the Steelers that gets made a big splash somewhere else. But to get Russ for this amount of money, yes, it's obviously a no-brainer. It's a coup for the Pittsburgh Steelers to get this guy. Whatever he can do now, it's still better than $1.21 million. Wherever he is after 2 years of whatever that was in Denver, it's still better, dollar for dollar, than $1.2 million.
Yeah, well, yeah, it's better than $1.2 million, no doubt about that. Let alone, I sit here and say it's better than the options they got in the locker room as far as the human beings to play quarterback. That's the big thing, right? And, yeah, that's where I'm excited about it. We wondered. We had questions. Sean Payton, Russell Wilson, a lot of football was like, is that really going to work, right? Are we sure that's going to happen? Because we know, one, the way Sean Payton is, it's demanding. It's a ton of offense. It's a lot of rules. It's 9 million plays. And Russell Wilson had not been a part of anything like that to that capacity. Again, I go back to, he played with Pete Carroll, and he was brought up through the defensive mind, the defensive style of football, the defensive head coach. This is how we manage the football game. And that is differently, right? Pete Carroll was, don't make a mistake. Hey, just don't make a mistake. We got a good defense. Just keep us in it. Just keep us in it. You're Russ. You just keep us in it. Late in the game, you'll be clutch. You'll make the plays happen. You do that. That's a different mindset than Sean Payton where, hey, we're going to come out 72Z, big O, hey, we're going to alert the clap. We're going to check the choice. We're going to go 358 cannon, blah, blah, blah. Like, we want to attack. We want to attack. I want you to audible to this when we're in this formation. If they do that, I want you to audible to that, right? That's not what he's been doing. And that locked him up, I think. I do think it locked him up because I think he was like thinking so much. He was like, wait, that guy's open? Hold on. I was still thinking of the check. I don't even know what to do. I didn't pull the trigger on throwing the football. So hopefully this can be a style of play and some coaches that can, unleash the old Russ as far as how he played and feeling confident that way. And I think the style of play that I've seen from Mike Tomlin and Arthur Smith over the years would lead me to believe that Russell Wilson's going to fit that mold.
Hi, it's Mike Florio. Thanks for watching PFT on YouTube. Hit subscribe for the latest news and analysis from Pro Football Talk.